Is it just me, or is Cartoon Saloon one of the best movie studios making movies today? I mean, right now they only have four movies, and I think the first one was over a span of 10 years, so they're not extremely prolific. I mean, that's like a movie every 2 or 3 years, basically. Four films over 10 years. Secret of Kells was released either late 2009 or 2010. I don't know exactly, but Wolfwalkers came out in 2020, and it got a lot of buzz. It got a lot of hype. It got more buzz and hype than any of their films have. Like, a lot of people's first Cartoon Saloon film will be Wolfwalkers. That's going to be a lot of the first one they see is that, because it was very highly advertised in Apple TV promotional stuff, and just in general. I saw a lot of advertisements and stuff for it. Maybe that's just because Google knew that I wanted to see Wolfwalkers, but I don't know. Anyway, they're a very, very consistent company, and every single film on this list, when I rank these four films, they're all great, but some are better than others, and I think one is significantly better than the other. I think there is a significant difference between number four and number one, but we'll just hop right into it. At number four on my list, in my opinion, the worst Cartoon Saloon movie, it's actually Wolfwalkers. Wolfwalkers has good characters. The wolf girl, the main character, I guess. The dad character, I really like the dad character. It's got amazing animation, but that's a given. That's the thing. That is a given with this studio. And I don't think Wolfwalkers is necessarily the best looking film by this studio. I would say it's the second best looking film by the studio. But the animation is fantastic. It's just beautiful, and paired with the soundtrack. This movie suffers from a really, really conventional story, which is not what I expect from Cartoon Saloon. Cartoon Saloon is so good at going outside the box and giving you surprising endings and surprising plots and darker themes, or just unconventional storylines. That is what we've seen from every film from them up until Wolfwalkers. Wolfwalkers just has a very generic, it feels like a Disney movie without spoiling anything. It has like the structure of a Disney movie. The ending is what you would expect it to be. The villain is fairly predictable. He's a lot like the main villain in El Dorado, or the main villain in Hunchback of Notre Dame. This religious archetype where they're the bad religious person that wants tradition to remain the same. It also has a similar plot with the main character in the conflict with her dad, where he's like, no, stay inside the village. Do not do anything that just defies tradition. Go with tradition. But he's a little bit different. It's not entirely that, but it's definitely similar to that. And then she's like, no, I'm a rebel. I'm gonna do what I want. That's like extremely mild spoilers, so it's fine. If you haven't seen the movie, it's on Apple TV. It's totally worth watching, even though I do think it is their worst film. My third favorite film by Cartoon Saloon, or you could look at it as the second worst, but I hate to look at it that way because this is a really great movie. My third favorite film by them is Song of the Sea. Song of the Sea is their most childish film. It feels like it is their most like family friendly. Oh, I say that because when I watched it the first time, I was like, I didn't love it. I was like impressed by it. I was very impressed with the music and the visuals and the aesthetic, the Irish aesthetic, of course, because their movies are Irish, except for except for the next movie we'll talk about. But this movie is very, very good. And one of the coolest things about it that I didn't appreciate the first time I watched it, I rewatched this film, is the really, really unconventional storytelling. It really just goes in a direction. It's kind of like a Ghibli, I don't know how you say it. It's kind of like a Ghibli movie in that way. The characters are like, oh, there's this vague, like in Spirited Away, there's like this vague, oh man, my parents got turned into pigs. I gotta do something about that. And then a bunch of stuff happens and you almost forget that that's part of the plot. It's kind of like that for this film. Like you get so lost in the journey that you forget about why the journey is happening in the first place, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing, and it's an achievement in just storytelling and saying you don't have to tell a super conventional story where the outcome of the journey is super obvious all the time, where you're so focused on like not the actual journey but where you're not focused on the destination, but you're focused on the actual journey, and it's a really cool way to do a movie, and I really appreciate it. And visually, this movie is their best. It is absolutely beautiful. Musically, the music is beautiful. The story and the characters, there's some really beautiful stuff there, but it's not as great as the other two movies, which is saying a lot because it's a really good movie. But these next two movies do stuff that's, I think, even more impressive than this film. Let's just hop right into that. My second favorite Cartoon Saloon movie is The Breadwinner. The Breadwinner is something else. This is one of the boldest movies I have ever seen. Like, being willing to portray this other culture, like, it feels like the most, like, politically incorrect, like, thing that you're, like, not supposed to do. I don't know if that's just me, but it paints such a bleak and ruthless picture of, is it Iran? I think it's Iran. It's one of those kind of countries where, the women have to like cover up their face and they have to do this, and it's that kind of, like Taliban type of situation. I think it's Iran, or if not, a country, I guess, similar to Iran. But it's a very, very, very dark movie. It's very, very bleak, and it's so unafraid to be dark and bleak, and it's so bold in its storytelling. And visually, I would say this is the worst film by them, but it's intentional. The really dark color palette, the very dreary look of everything just adds to the dark vibe of the movie. It had to be that way. It wouldn't make sense if it looked like any of the other films. But from a storytelling perspective and a plot perspective, I think this is their most bold and mature film, you could say, and it's all the better for it. It's a really, really great movie, even if it's not as fun as their other films. And even though, I would go back to Song of the Sea or my number one before I watch this one again. Maybe even Wolfwalkers. But I don't feel like watching this movie again anytime soon. If you've seen their films, then you know. If you know their four films, you know my number one is my number one is The Secret of Kells. Secret of Kells is the first Cartoon Saloon film that I have seen, and it absolutely blew me away. And I've seen it several times after watching it the first time, and every single time I'm absolutely blown away. It shocks me that this movie is not more critically acclaimed and more loved than it is, because it deserves every bit of praise you can give it. Absolutely fantastic visuals. Their first film, so this kind of visual style, Cartoon Saloon's brand of animation, had never been seen before when it came out. Just stunning. The ending, without spoiling anything, absolutely one of the best movie endings ever. I don't think, like, from a plot perspective, from a subversive perspective, it's just, maybe it's not even subversive. It's subversive compared to most movies. That's what I'll say. Maybe it doesn't seem subversive in the film, but if you compare it to other films, I guess you could say it's subversive. Anyway, the ending hits like a ton of bricks. The story is cool. The characters are cool. The music is cool. It's a very cool movie. One of my all-time favorite animated movies. I think it's a masterpiece. Yeah, it's pretty short too, so watch it. I don't know how to watch this film. You probably have to rent it. I think the only times I've watched this, I've rented it on like Amazon. But yeah, I watched Breadwinner on Netflix, and yeah, Wolfwalkers is on Apple TV, and Song of the Sea on Amazon Prime. So there's no matter what streaming service you have, you can watch a Cartoon Saloon movie. Slap on any one that you can without paying money. Absolutely pay money for this one. They're all worth renting it for like $3 or $4. What am I saying? But yeah, Great movie studio. Great movies. What's your favorite Cartoon Saloon movie? How would you rank them? Guys, don't hate me for ranking Wolfwalkers at the bottom. I really do think from a plot perspective, it's just not that impressive. If you want to convince me that it's somehow better and it's somehow not generic or somehow not following all these tropes, then please do explain to me what I'm missing in this film, what I'm not seeing about this that's so awesome. But it's, you know, it's still a cool movie. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.